Dark spiritual entities exploit the traumas of the soul to attach and release their agenda through people. And this unaddressed trauma that is in people can actually become an open spiritual gate for entities to manipulate and distort realities that become the human's inner reality when they adopt this manipulation as their own inner thought process. I explained previously what your soul is. It's the center for your mind, your will, and your emotions. It's basically where you think, feel, and desire. And the soul has this interconnection with your spirit. At all times of your life, your spirit is always willing to accomplish what it is designed to do. And the spirit of a man, a woman, even a girl or a boy is perfectly equipped and ready to do what it has been assigned to do during this human experience. There is no such thing as people being more spiritual. Nobody got ripped off with an immature or an incomplete spirit, because the spirit of a human is a fractal of light imparted to them from the divine. Spirit is unchangeable. It is whole, healed, and complete. In order for your spirit to have full expression, it is to pass through your soul. And this bottle here, this is representative of you. The bottleneck is your soul. The water inside is your spirit. And for the water to leave the bottle, it must pass through the bottleneck first. If there are blockages in the bottle, the water will not be able to pass through unhindered. So if your soul is fractured or weak, it will restrict and distort your true self from having its full expression. So the problem is not the spirit of a person, it's a weak or fractured soul. So whenever we talk about someone's character, their honesty, their commitment, their integrity, these are actually expressions of their mind, will, and emotions. And here is a famous saying: you can gain the whole world, but lose your soul. To lose your soul, it actually means to damage or fracture it. As soon as I say this, I think of that scene from Harry Potter in which a young Voldemort queries Professor Slughorn on the Horcruxes and splitting the soul to obtain this immortality. And the essence of this narrative is true for us, because trauma to your mind, to your desires, and your emotions can fracture the soul. And depending on the severity of the traumatic experience, it can actually divide the consciousness in an attempt to regulate a new level of safety. So how do we weaken the soul on a day-to-day basis? If you have ever had a sporting injury, you would know as soon as you fracture or dislocate an arm, that part of your body immediately becomes weak. And your soul is like that. As soon as you compromise your mind, your will, or your emotions by putting it out of alignment, it becomes weak. For example, in order for me to lie to you convincingly, I have to disconnect my mouth and my facial expressions from what I believe to be true. To pull that off, I must weaken my soul, and the longer I live in compromises, like a disconnected arm, it will become weaker. I can also weaken my soul when I'm split between being kind to you and emotionally punishing you because you won't give me what I want. And in order to live this passive-aggressive contradiction, I have to fracture my emotions by confirming nothing is wrong with nice words from my mouth, but secretly hating you on the inside. Sure, I can do all these things convincingly, but it will cost me my soul. On a larger scale even, people damage and fracture their soul by compromising what they know to be noble and true to obtain some influence, to obtain significance, wealth, elevated status. All the while the compromises violate the mind, will, and emotions. That's why we become mystified by a person's behavior in this part of their life, because it's so different to another part of their life. How did they do that? They're fracturing themselves to do it convincingly, because an integrous soul consistently gives the same expression of who they are, regardless of the option to compromise. This brings the final question: how do we strengthen and heal our soul? And I'm going to go through that in the next part.